We have Bana TV and other media outlets. I'd like to invite the Assistant Minister for Information Services who will introduce to you the Minister of Information, and then the Minister will then do his introductory comment. Minister, Ghana News, come on.
A pleasant good afternoon from the Minister of Information Portal Affairs and Tourism. I won't do much of an introduction because we all know Minister Already is the household name. For the convener of today's press briefing, he will coordinate and preside over all of our activities here. So I'd like to welcome the Minister now.
Let me thank all of you, distinguished colleagues of the media, our visiting Minister of Health, and other distinguished members of the Liberian government for taking time out of this schedule to provide you, the Liberian people, updates on various issues as it relates to the governance of our country. Good morning to you listening to me across Liberia and across the world on different platforms. I'd like to say first that on our clip this morning, we'll do some housekeeping as usual. I'll speak to you about certain specific issues with respect to the governance of our country. And then we'll have Dr.Jallah, who is the Minister of Health, to bring you updates as it relates to the current situation in our fight against this menacing virus called COVID-19. The Deputy Minister of Education, the Honorable Latin Gatang, will also provide us the recent statistics as it relates to the just released results of the WASI exams that our students across the country took, and perhaps talk about other regulations as it relates to education in our country. And then we'll bring you updates from the Liberian Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission, the LRRC, through its Executive Director, the Reverend Fester Morgan, who will speak on the current refugee situation in our country. As you all know, especially in the southeast of Liberia, we have an influx of Ivorian refugees and other Ghanaians coming into our country seeking asylum and safety. The World Food Program, are they here?
Yes.
So we'll have the World Food Program, Mr. Aaron Siet. He will provide us an update as it relates to the house food support program that has been initiated for the last 3 months. And so he will tell us the updates from the distribution and what has been achieved so far. So that's what we have for you on our plate this morning. I think it's this afternoon now. And so without much ado, let me go into my own housekeeping issues, and then we will provide an opportunity for our guests to do theirs. First, I want to start at the presidential level. It has been announced already, as you all know, December 2nd is about 2 weeks away from now. There will be a lot of presidential activities taking place in central and north central Liberia. And here are the activities. The president will leave Monrovia for that part of Liberia to break grounds first in Gulf County on the 1st of December for 100 poor housing units. As you all know, the president, since assumption of office of the president of our country, has made it his mantra to reach out to the poorest of the poor in our country, providing them an opportunity for a better livelihood. It started off in Grand County, went on to Banjir, and now we're moving to central and north central Liberia for the housing units. Also, he will then on the second break ground in Neighbor County for an additional 100 housing units. that will cater to the poorest in that county. At the same time, while in Nimba, he will also dedicate a new market structure for the marketers in that county. It has been the president's desire to change the quality of the selling places of our mothers who toil daily to provide for us through these markets. And so he's gradually changing their trading conditions where they apply their trade by building new market infrastructures for them that will cater to their holistic needs while carrying out their businesses and selling their wares. So he will dedicate the market, and the market is is being constructed or has been constructed under the auspices of LACE. That's the Liberia Agency for Community Empowerment. The president will also too while in Nimba, and this is very important for us because since the existence of Liberia, we've been struggling to connect our country through quality road networks. And the government, through the PAPD, has made road connectivity a let me stress, a major mantra for developing Liberia. And so the president will be the first to break grounds for the construction of a 39-kilometer road from Ganta to Sakopee under the program of developing Liberia. This road, when completed, will be fully outstretched paved. Eventually, that's just the first phase of the completion of that project. But the project is intended to connect to Zwedru. And so I understand already the second phase of the procurement process is underway. And as soon as that is done, the second phase might begin somewhere in early April or May for the road from Sakopee to Ganta. But for now, the groundbreaking ceremony will be on December 2nd for the road from Ganta. That's 39 kilometers of road from Sakopee, from Ganta to Sakopee. And when it's completed, it will be fully asphalt paved. Once the grounds have been broken, the construction work will begin immediately until by the Public Works Ministry. That's it for the groundbreaking ceremony and the level of the presidency. I'd also like to talk about, the issue of this CCTV use as talked about by His Excellency. I see there's been a lot of confusion and perhaps just mistalk about what the intentions of the president were when he spoke about it the other day. We were all at the book of condolence signing for the falling of the late Martin Minister, who is the Director General of the Internal Audit Agency, and the media took time to speak with His Excellency, and he said, look, safety is the responsibility of the government, and the president has taken an oath through the Constitution to protect lives and property, and that is 100% committed to. He's not shying away from that responsibility. But he was simply saying that we too, as people, must take responsibility and be careful with how we go about our own businesses for our own personal security. And he was referencing the fact that he was happy to see that at the IAA they had installed there CCTV that provides extra security for the staff who work there. And he was encouraging Liberians, especially those of us in the public sector, the government, to think about these things, because at the end of it all, when crimes happen, especially in the Western world, these are some of the gadgets that people use to determine what went wrong in their investigation. They go back to the CCTV and footages, they look at it over and again, they trace all of the different things that you have been doing to derive conclusion as to what happened. So for somebody to think that the president say, oh, if for all Liberians, if you want to secure yourself, go buy CCTV, that is foolhardy to say the least. His Excellency took an oath and he's committed to ensuring that the safety of all Liberians remain paramount, not just for him, but to all as a government. So let's be clear on these things. It's not every little thing that will play the politics with. And I just wanted to make that point clear. With regards to the update on the investigative report, and I'm using investigative report because it would seem to me that most of us are interested in knowing, and which is true. We all, including members of the government, we all are interested in knowing what went wrong with respect to the demise of our full police, our full citizens. But the report, the autopsy report, is just part, a portion of the full investigative report. The autopsy report is ready, it's with the Ministry of Justice. But the investigation continues. The autopsy report only tells the cause of death. But the investigation continues because we want to know how. And the Justice Ministry tells me that it is now sort of concluding with the overall investigative report that contains the autopsy report. And early next week, this will be made public. So we ask for some patience in all of this because we don't want to rush and put out something that you members of the public will be going to question. So sometimes these investigations can be painstaking. It doesn't take a magic wand to determine these things. It has to go through several forensic and scientific processes to be able to draw logical conclusions. So we like to call on the public to be a little more patient with us. With respect to the St. Moses and the saga of the missing kids, I'm told that the police since dispatched a 25-man search and rescue team to the area. They have been there and they have now concluded the search. And they've returned now to compile the report and conduct further investigations. While there, they were able to discover one body. That body has since been brought to Monrovia, and the families were asked to come and see whether they could identify the body. The police said there was some initial rejection by the family, but eventually they did come and they said they didn't recognize the body. But the missing kids were with others in a canoe when it got capsized, and those who were in the canoe are undergoing a police investigation, and they have confirmed to the police that the body is indeed one of the persons. So the Ministry of Justice now is working to find a pathologist to determine some other pathological issues. Like I said, these investigations can be painstaking and require forensic findings and all of that. So the police is also asking for patience. It is not ignoring this investigation. The investigation is still continuing, but it's not every move that they do that they will make public, because if they did so, perhaps it will undermine the very investigative process that they are undertaking. So we ask for patience, we ask the public to remain patient as the government does all it can to get to the bottom of this matter. Let me, I think that's for now. Let me see here on my listing. That I believe is the president also during the course of the week visited the Kennedy High Schools and was not happy with the deplorable condition of that school. We all know he has since instructed police to immediately carry out the renovation work at that institution. I'm a member of that community, and I feel so proud that the students in that community will now have a better edifice when the school resumes operations. Okay, so I'll leave it for now. If there are any questions, I can come back later on to talk about the issues I raised. But without much ado, let me call on the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Jallah, who will now give us an update on the fight against this menacing disease, COVID-19. Dr. Jallah, you're welcome.
Good afternoon to all. To the Minister of Information, the Deputy Minister of Education, the ED for the LRRC, all the other ministers, deputy ministers here present, and to our media friends present, good afternoon. First of all, again, I would say there are people here that still do not have on their mask. That means either they do not have a mask, they don't believe that COVID is here, or they believe that they are invincible and COVID cannot catch them. So if you fit in one of those three categories, I will still appeal to you to please put on your mask. Let me start by saying thank you to the Information Ministry for constantly calling on the Ministry of Health to come and to give briefing, because it's important that we give information to our people so that they can understand, and if they have any other questions or things that they do not understand or that they are unclear about, or any other things that they have heard that might be or miss or belief story, that they can ask, and we try to give clarity on those facts. First of all, I would like to thank all of the healthcare workers, both in the public and the private sector, for continuing to serve all of our people, and also to be there for those who have COVID, or those who are appearing in health facility and not knowing what they have. At this current point, I will just answer the question before somebody asks. The long-awaited handshake that's supposed to come to all the healthcare workers. We are at the final stage where we have listed all the government workers that did not directly participate in the COVID-19 fight, but are frontline workers. And they are checking over the final list, and those funds will be deposited into the account. They are all agreed, so those funds will be deposited into the account as soon as possible. The second group of people I would like to address are the frontline workers. We have people from 14 military. Some of them are still working. Some of them have been put down because of what was slowing down for the COVID. We have the union workers. We also have POE, port of entry workers. We have the EMS. We have contact tracers. We have surveillance officers. All of those who have been in the response, I know very well that the incentives have been not coming the way how they wanted to come, but we want to appeal to them to remain calm and keep dialoguing with us as gather the money from the different sources, the World Bank and the government, to make sure that you get the money that is due you. You already work for it. No need to protest. No need to bang on doors. But come, send a representative to speak to us peacefully, and we will continue to relay the message that we have gathered to you concerning when you will receive your funding. So please, we're still appealing to all of you. If you are listening to the radio, or if your relative is listening to the radio, we hope that we all can work together peacefully so that you can get your incentive, because we know that you need it. We are not heartless. We know that everybody needs money, and when you work for it, you must receive it. So we want to say thank you for remaining calm and for engaging us. Now, I know most of you have heard about the second wave in the pandemic, so I would like to give you updates on that. When we started this pandemic all the way back in March, we only had 3 cases in the beginning. We went up to 149 cases for the month of April. For May, we went to 145. Then by June, we were up to 507. July, we went to 385. So you see, we came from a low level, then we hit a peak of 507. We started to come down. We came down to 385 in July. By August, we were down to 116, and by September, we came down to 39 cases. So that's when we said we were doing very well. Things were looking good. But all around the world, there's a second wave of COVID-19 going on. So by the end of October, we had 90 cases. So we went from 39 straight to 90. So that was another wave. Now, as of today, we already have 94 cases, and the month has not yet ended. So that tells us that we are in the second wave because things are beginning to go up. For today, the number of cases that we have today, 11 cases registered for today, bringing our total COVID-19 confirmed cases to 1,539. Number of recovery, 1,331. Now, where are all these people coming from? How are we finding them? Because you are not wearing your mask. Because a lot of people do not believe that COVID-19 exists, they are not going for voluntary testing. So we are getting fewer and fewer people going and say, I want to be tested. So how are we finding these people? We are finding them because they want to travel. So when you want to travel, you go to the testing site, you get tested, and we are finding a lot of outgoing travelers that are positive. So because the outgoing travelers are positive and they are coming from communities and they are coming from homes, what do you think is happening in your community and in your homes? There are people there that are contacts and high risk, and so there are people in homes and in communities that are positive. So therefore, with this type of information, we have looked at where, and all of this fight is here in Montserrat County because we all are here. So what are we planning to do? Number one, we have looked at which areas within Montserrat that the numbers are high. We take from across the bridge all the way back past Old Road. This is where the numbers are high. Single area. This is where the numbers are high. So therefore, we are going to be conducting enhanced surveillance in that particular, all of this area to see who are the asymptomatic, and that word come back again. Asymptomatic, that means a lot of us here, right in this group, if we do testing, they are not showing any symptoms. They are fine. They are not coughing. They do not have a fever. They do not have sore throat. Nothing is wrong with them. They wake up in the morning, they're eating, they're doing everything normally. No signs of malaria or anything else. They are just doing fine. So they say, I'm fine. But you could have COVID. That's why they call you asymptomatic. So we need to find these asymptomatic and break this chain to begin to bring us back to lower numbers. But we cannot do it alone. We need you all, our communities, our community leaders, our media, our family members, to please go back. If you have deviated from the health protocol, go back to the health protocol. We have everybody say market people, market people. The market people will keep talking to them. But you know better. Then you are not even wearing your mask. We do not want to see Liberia go back to where they will put curfew on for you to go back. We do not want to see our children home again and not going to school. We do not want to see services suspended. And we know Liberians like to go in the weekend to go to various places or go to sporting activities. We do not want to see that happen. So therefore, we must bring it to you. You, the only one, the public, can make that not happen. You have to begin to bring your bucket back out. If you took it away, please bring it back out. If you don't have hand sanitizer, get some alcohol, get it. Find your mask that you were wearing before, wash it, iron it, and put it back out. And physical distance from other people. This will definitely help to improve the situation in Liberia so that we do not go backwards. Please, as this second wave, and as you were able to resiliently fight off the first wave, we are asking and appealing to you all to join us to fight the second wave. This is the only way that we will get out of this serious uprise that we are seeing. We are also testing the incoming passengers, but the number of incoming passengers are far less than the outgoing passengers. So we know that the problem is in, it's not coming from out. So please help us to make sure that we all improve that situation. The new testing site is at Union Center, which is Sophie Road. There's a big church. I think there's a cyber edge on our road. You go all the way back. There's a big building there, a stone building. We try to improve the services so that you can be comfortable, you can walk in. And we try to automate the system where you don't have to look for people. You can go and put in your number in the comfort of your home and even print certificate online. So we are improving as time goes on. Clearly, there's a second wave. Individuals and communities must be told, and I'm asking all of you to play your part in keeping all of us safe from COVID-19. Lastly, we just ended breast cancer month last month, but breast cancer month, as far as I'm concerned, is every month. So if you are out there and you have never gotten a breast exam, please go and get one to your health practitioner. If you need a mammogram, we're able to raise some money for those who cannot afford it to go to Jimali, and you will be able to get a mammogram there. We're also encouraging women to get their pap smear because it's important. Those are diseases that can make your life very miserable and even cause your death. We're also encouraging the men to go and do their prostate screen because it's also another killer and it also causes disability. So please go for your screening. Do not just sit back. And also go for your COVID-19 test. Be a volunteer. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Minister. Members of the press, do you have questions for the Minister of Health? I urge you to please come in queue. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister, for the explanation. My name is Strong Farmer and I report from Fabric. I have a couple of concerns, particularly three. One is since we are in the second wave of COVID-19 across the world in Liberia also, do we think there's a need for more funding to the sector? If so, how much are we talking about now? Secondly, there are reports that Representative Edwin Snow has fallen prey to COVID-19. Just to get out with this information. And lastly, when you appear here the other day, you talk about the distribution of the ambulances to counties, especially COVID-19 hotspot counties. How far are we down with this process?
Okay, so on the line of more funding, definitely, if you have a second wave, you need more funding. I left the finance people calculating around how much dollars and cents we need. Because we have three funding sources right now, and we hope that we get more. We have the World Bank, we still finishing up what the World Bank has given to us, and the government still has funding to provide for the COVID, and the partners are still supporting. But on the next round, we'll be giving you that figure. I don't have that figure offhand currently. Now, I'm sure you want me to call Honorable Snow name, but Honorable Snow were on the Facebook. So if you saw it and you heard it, do you want somebody else to come and authenticate? I think if I go on the air and say I got COVID, then you should take it at that value. So I think I shouldn't comment on it because he himself already told you all, and I think he was clear. On the ambulances, all of the counties have received one of the ambulances that we spoke about. If you have any doubt, contact any county health officer and we will tell you that they have received one of the brand new ambulances.
Well, good afternoon, Minister. My name is Corey Scandal, and I come from Chief. My concern has to do with the planned cantonment in December. And it's my understanding that most of the county will be a host county and opening will be here. With the issue of the COVID-19, are you certified that we host this county?
On the line of the county meet, prior to now, we have had meetings with the Ministry of Youth and Sport to discuss measures that we were putting in place. With this second wave, we will again recall the Ministry of Youth and Sports to see how there are many ways that sports can continue. We hope that we will be able to continue the county meet in terms of decreasing the number of spectators and also testing all of the players. So there are things that we'll be doing to help so that it cannot be canceled completely. We'll see what we can do in terms of compensation.
My name is Fateh Khalil and I report for Toronto. Now, Minister, you care to tell us the status of some of the patients who are in the treatment center? Is the Ministry of Health making an effort in knowing the well-being or the status of some of these patients who go at the treatment center when you can?
You're asking about the status for the patient. I spoke in the beginning when I said that we do talk to all of the people that work there. We explain some of the issues that we are having in terms of the incentive, in terms of what's happening to them. So we spoke to them recently and over, and we keep appealing to them. Some of the things the ministry itself have more control over. If the funding don't go from point A to point B, there's nothing much we can do. We can keep talking to those who are providing the funding to make sure that the money is in the bank, that you have the right account number. Those are things that we are still working with, and we keep appealing to them to stay calm and that this money will come.
You want to make a follow-up on my sir. I'm talking about the status of some of the patients who go at the treatment center as to whether the Ministry of Health is making follow-up to know their well-being.
After they leave,
yeah, when they leave the treatment center.
we have a case management team that follows up on most of the patients. But if they did not follow up on your patient, let me know and we'll find out why. But the case management people always follow people after they are discharged.
No, Madam Minister,
No other word except we all have to remain resilient here in Liberia to make sure that the COVID-19 doesn't overwhelm us, and it can only be done by you and by me. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're nothing but thank the Ministry of Education.
Good morning. Honorable Minister of Information,
mental health and all heads and heads, assistant heads of government present. So they understand all artistic principles. Before I get into my remarks, let me just re-emphasize, and this is personal, what Dr. Jallah said. COVID exists, and if we don't think it exists and we ignore it, we are going to have serious problems. You guys know just recently, it was just in June, that I attracted COVID. And when I got COVID, it damaged my liver, it damaged my kidney, it damaged my heart. If the government had not flown me to Ghana, I'd be dead. I was critically dead laying 14 because I had no, at that point, I wasn't even breathing. So you all know what I went through, and God bless for whatever miracle He didn't want me to go, and I was flown to Ghana and they were able to save me. COVID is real. I'm not telling you what I heard, I'm telling you what I've experienced as a person, and nothing's closer to death than COVID. And I wouldn't want anyone in this group to experience what I went through for almost 4 months. Please listen to Dr. Jallah. COVID is real. Let me go ahead and start. I want to start with the WIC results and then address a few other issues that many of you in the public have been asking about. When we talked about this educational system 3 years ago, we promised you that we were going to diagnose the system, and then after diagnosing the system, formalize solutions to fix the system so ultimately we can take Nigeria back to its origins. There was a time where Nigeria was the envy for education in Africa. People used to send children from East Africa, other places to come here, go to law school, go to medical school, because of how good our system was. Fast forward in the last few years, we've had challenges, but we want to thank God that we are getting the system back where it belongs. So in the last 3 years, we've seen steady progress in terms of moving the Nigerian educational system in a positive direction. And amid all of what happened this year, shutting down schools, COVID, everything that we experienced, less than 4 weeks before the exam, the Ministry of Education worked with the Ministry of Health to put safety measures in place, get our 12 graders back to prepare them for the exam. But now most of you have seen the results. We are so proud of what they accomplished this year. They did better this year than last year, even with all of the challenges we had. That's a remarkable testament to the fact that the system is not getting better. It's not a political statement, it's a fact. The numbers are pointing to that. And as we continue to improve in the next few years, hopefully Nigeria will be back to where everybody else will want to send the children here instead of us trying to send our children outside. So I'll go through just a few of the positive statistics, and this is on our website. This is also a wide website, you can get it. So let me give you an example. In 2018, we had 33,272 students write this exam. 20,000 of them failed in 2018, which means 61% of our students failed all subjects in 2018. In 2019, last year, we had improvement. 38,000 wrote, 10,700 failed. That means those that failed came down to 28%. So from 64% failure, last year we dropped to 28% failure. This year, 39,000 students wrote, 9,360 failed. We dropped down to 23%. So from 67% failing, we are now down to 23% students that are failing the exam. That is almost triple what was happening in the past. Let's look at the number of students that passed at least one subject. In 2018, 12,929 students passed at least one subject. In 2018, that was 38% of our students passed at least 19. 27,248 students passed at least one subject. So we went from 38% to 71% students passing at least one subject. 2020, this year, 32,178 students passed at least one subject. That's 81% of the students passing at least one subject. So we've gone from 38%, now we are at 81% of our students passing at least one. This is not luck. This is hard work. This is dedication. This is the system being fixed and improved right before our very eyes. In 2018, only 2 students passed with credits in math and English. Today, in 2020, you are at 167. From 2 students being able to pass math and English to 167 students now that pass math and English. In 2018, out of 33,000 plus students, only 1 student passed all 9 subjects. That means that student passed every student did every subject that was administered by us. 1, all 9 subjects. Last year we had 2 students that passed all 9 subjects. This year we have 42 students that passed all 9 subjects. That means English, Maths, Sociology, Geography, all 9 subjects. We went from 1 person to 2 persons. Now we have 42 of those young people pass all 9 subjects. And the statistics, as I said, it's on our website. You can go and look at the trend. We are getting back to where our educational sector is supposed to be. We are not saying we are there yet. But if you are a Liberian and you have been here for the last few years, where we actually fell very far behind, our students are now competing with the best amongst them in the West African region and the world as a whole. We will steadily take this system back to where it belongs under the Georgia-led administration. We believe that, we are committed to that, and with God's blessing, we will do that for this country. In 2018, this is the last statistics I will give you because it's important. We have 138 schools that fail all subjects. 138 schools that fail all subjects in 2018. In 2019, that reduced to 46 schools that fail all subjects. In this year, we have only 16 institutions in Liberia that fail all subjects. So we went from 23% of the schools failing all subjects. Total. Oh, how many total schools? That wrote the exam. Over 2,000. So in 2018, although you made for the high school exam, 600. I'm sorry, 600 high schools. So in 2018, 43% of the schools. Yeah, 23% of our schools failed all subjects. In 2019, has dropped to 7% of our schools failing all subjects. In 2020, that's only 2% of our schools failing all subjects. That is massive improvements in the last 3 years. We believe in the next 3 years, we are able to even take the system to a better place. Now, the reason I gave you that last statistic is because of this. Those 16 schools, which the names are on our website, are not allowed to host graduation this year. If those 16 schools host graduation, we will shut them down permanently. All 16 of them are listed on the Ministry of Education website. Out of those 16 schools, there are 3 schools there who have failed consistently in the last 3 years. That means 2018, all the students failed. 2019, all the students failed. 2020, all the students failed. We are relegating that school from high school to junior high school with immediate effect. Our goal is to continue to work and get the system where it needs to be, where each of us, Nigerians, can be proud of our education system. Those 3 schools' names will be provided on our website by this team. One of them is in Nimba, and 2 of them, I think, are in Montreal. But I'll get the. Hold on, let me check. I think I have that detail, but we'll still put it up. Okay, I do have that detail. I just received that from Ryan. So these are the 3 schools. Second, Memorial High School is in Nimba. It's a public school. Kutuo High School, Sewa Dome Memorial Public School. They are all 3 from Nimba, and all 3 will be relegated immediately. Those schools' name will be on our website. And the statistics will be there as well. You can pick it up from our website and go through all of it. We have what you heard, and this is, we have students that pass at least 5 subjects with credits. That means those students pass math, English, and 3 other subjects. There are students that pass at least 5 subjects, and there are 25 of them. I know most of the media we've been talking about the top 3, which is fine, but there are actually 25 students that did excellent, and the government will be announcing what measures we will do for those students. The last 2 years, the top 10 students have been sent overseas to go to school. We are going to continue that tradition. We think it is important for the country and motivates our young people. So as we celebrate the 3 students, which is okay, let's also celebrate all 25 of those students who have performed excellently when we compare them to their counterparts in West Africa. So we have 25 students that pass 5 subjects with credit. So based on this information, one of the questions we've gotten over time, and we have to address that today, is first and foremost, there will be no graduation ceremony this year. The Minister of Health just said COVID is on the increase. We are telling all schools to host graduation January of next year, pending how the conditions look. No graduation. If you host graduation, you will be fined $1 million Nigerian. No graduation hosting this year. Take your graduation fee, prepare yourself, and host your graduation in January of next year. We have only given exceptions to universities, and those universities have to work with the Ministry of Health to put in all safety protocols to host the graduation. The health team will work with those universities, make sure all of the safety protocols are in place, and those universities will host graduation. From kindergarten to 12th grade, no graduation this year. Now, last year we told schools that if you pass one subject, you were allowed to take part in graduation ceremony. We are progressively improving the system. So this year, students that pass two subjects will be allowed to graduate. If a student does not pass two subjects, that student should not take part in any graduation. For every student that doesn't pass two subjects that you graduate, it's a $250,000 fine. So if you graduate four students that didn't pass two subjects, you pay $1 million Nigerian. So this year is two subjects to take part in graduation ceremony. So we want schools to take note. Next year it will be three subjects to take part in graduation ceremony. We are progressively challenging our young people to perform with excellence and bring them on par with other countries in the region. We will get there slowly. So last year it was one. This year you have to pass two subjects to take part in any graduation ceremony. And we have a task force in the field that will be checking come January. Many people have been asking about the $1 million for private school teachers, and I want to address that because we want the public to be aware as we do this transparently. Because of COVID-19, the president in his wisdom decided that because private school teachers weren't getting paid, but public schools were getting paid. All of the public school teachers were civil service and they were getting paid. So the president said, look, coming back into the new school year, let's do something for the private schools. And $1 million was given for private schools teachers. This is not salary, this is just an honorarium to get you going while you go back to school. Some people say taking long, you can distribute the money, yes, because we want to do it correctly. We want to do it transparently. So when the pronouncement was made, the Ministry of Education was put in charge to lead the process. A task force was put together that comprised of CSA, the Civil Service Agency, Ministry of Finance, the Internal Audit Agency, and the Ministry of Education. The task force started the work. Public service announcement was made. Data collections is coming in. The task force wrote the finance minister to create an escrow account and take that money out of government revenue and put it in our escrow account. That request was approved by Minister Samuel D12. That escrow account is being created and an allotment for the $1 million is now in process. That means that money will be taken and put aside separately for these people. So who qualifies for this money? If you are a teacher, a dean, or a principal or vice principal working in any of our schools, you qualify to receive this money. Many schools were asked to meet certain criteria. What were the criteria set by the task force? One, you should have a valid operational permit. That means your school has legal status and is recognized by the Nigerian government. Two, each school were asked to produce 3 months of your previous payroll before COVID. So your January, February, and March payroll. And the reason is we didn't want schools just automatically bringing payroll adding into it just to get money. We will review your 3 payrolls, check with LRA, and then confirm that those people have been with your school for a long period of time. 3, every teacher should have a national identification number. Every teacher should have a bank account or a mobile money number. Okay? Based on these criteria, I'm about to go through the numbers and I want you to please pay attention because it might be a little confusing, but it's important that you get it. So far, 711 schools have applied for this money. 711 schools have applied for the money. Out of the 711 schools, 134 of them did not have operational permit, so they were deemed illegal. That left us with 577 schools. The 577 schools represents 10,124 teachers' names submitted. Of the 577 schools, 10,124 teachers' names were submitted. Out of the 10,124 teacher names that were submitted, 3,568 of them does not have a national identification number. We are working with the NIR now to make sure that those 3,568 teachers do get an NIR number. That left us with 4,153 teachers who had all the credentials right. But out of the 4,153 teachers, 134 of them was from government payroll. So they were working for government and they are also working for private schools. You can't get the money. So of the 4,153 teachers that have all the requirements, 134 of them are on government payroll. So that things were extracted. It leaves us with about 4,000 plus teachers. We believe there are about 30-something thousand teachers in the private sector based on our survey that was done last year. We are going to start based on an estimate. We have set an estimate of about 25,000 teachers. Based on that estimation, we will start to pay these first 4,000 teachers in a few weeks. We are leaving the application process open for the next 6 months. After 6 months, all those teachers that have been paid will be paid, and if there is money left, that money will be given back to national government. So you still have 6 months from now to actually apply to get this money. If we are projected based on the bar we set, that each teacher will get anywhere between 7 to 10,000 Nigerian dollars. Based on our projections and estimations, each teacher will get around 7,000 to 10,000 Nigerian dollars per teacher. Once again, that's the statistics on the $1 million. When this process is completed, we will do a full comprehensive report, and that report will be provided to the executive branch, the 2 branches of government, and the media will also get a report. So you will hear from us soon, very, very soon. The minister, when this was pronounced, designated me to lead this process, and on top of it, I gave you full briefing every day, and I will also be briefing you guys as much as possible. It is transparent because 4 branches of government are involved in this process. We have the IAA there as well, so that nobody can say that that money was stolen or eaten by anybody. Another important thing I want the press to carry, we now have a letter of certificate that is being issued by to private schools, which means if you take your children, they are talking to the public now, and I'm sure some of you have children here. No private school is allowed to increase their school fees this year without that letter of approval from the Ministry of Education. If you went to a private school whose school fee was 200 last year, and this year they increased it to 300 in 4 months right away, the ministry will take action unless that letter can be shown to you. We do not want schools to arbitrarily increase their fees just to suffer the parents of this country. If our school apply to us, we will come there, we will evaluate. If we see improvements you've made with the school, if you enhance your services, we will all agree on how much increment you can increase, and we will give you a letter of a certificate of approval from the ministry. To all PTAs, any school that increases the school fees, the PTA of that school should inform us, and no Nigerian should pay that fee unless you want to pay. We've made this clear. We have a task force. You can call 1416. If you take your child to any school that increases fee without that letter, you can call 1416 and the task force will be dispatched there immediately. No school is to force anyone to buy uniforms or anything from them. It is prohibited. The school should make available their colors. You can buy your uniform, you can sew your uniform anywhere you want. Anyone that mandates you to sew uniform or buy socks or footwear from them will be penalized. It is not accepted anymore. For the public schools, there are set fees that are being paid. For public high schools, it is 3,000 Nigerian dollars. For public junior high schools, it is 2,000 Nigerian dollars. And for public elementary schools, it's 1,000 Nigerian dollars. Every public school pays that money. The only exception is with MCSS schools. With MCSS schools, high schools pay 6,700 Nigerian dollars. MCSS, high schools pay 6,700 Nigerian dollars. And we only arrived at that amount because that was agreed upon by the PTA and the administration of MCSS. That means the parents of MCSS and the administration agreed to pay the 6,700. You all heard in the past it was 8,700. The government intervened and we met with the parents, and the parents said, look, we want to help fund MCSS to do some extracurricular activities for our children. And once a parent says, I want to help, we can't tell that parent, no, you can't help. So MCSS schools, only at the high school level, 6,700. All other public schools, 3,000 Nigerian dollars. All public school fees are being paid now via mobile money. Please do not pay any of your children's fees to any school campus. Go on your mobile money, star 516. The options is there to pay your children's school fees or your own fees. Use the mobile money system. We started using it last year. It was very transparent, and we were able to raise funds to help the entire school system improve. Please use the mobile money system for public school fees. And with that, I will end my briefing. Unless there are a few questions.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Do you have questions for the Deputy Minister for Administration?
Yes,
For
the Deputy.
Education? Honorable Martin Martin. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, good afternoon again. I'm Thomas Plummer and I report for Friday. Thank you very much, Minister, for coming. let's stay on this one. Supporters of the government, most especially civilians, they have attributed this year's wise exam, the progress so far to the while he being paid by the president of Liberia. Aside from that, what extra measures did you put in place for this progress so far? No, many would say this is a PR question, but I really want
Thank you. Can I get it?
Okay, my name is Michael Curry and I report for Joy FM. We talk about 16 schools that are massively failing this year last exam. This is like the Ministry of Education is not monitoring or getting some of the teachers that are teaching in those schools, or the Ministry of Education is not monitoring the lessons that are taught in those schools. And two, concerned about some of the schools that you spotted that apply for the package that was given by the president. You said it's operating illegal in the country. What are you doing about those schools that are illegal operating in the country? And two, three, last year we have the launch of a new curriculum, a three-cycle curriculum by the Ministry of Education. How far are we with regard to that?
Okay. Thank you. To the first question, what is that? Oh, no, go say the other question. Let me address the question in the most frank way. The pay of wife by the president alleviated immense burden for all families. The students that benefited from that are not only students whose parents are citizens, the students whose parents are whatever they want to be. This benefited all of Liberia and we should not politicize it. When we go to write exam, we don't ask each student which party you from or where your papa is from. The president gesture was to alleviate hardship for all parents. And every parent that have a child that took that 12th grade exam can be honest with yourself. You gotta like this president, but you can be honest with yourself to say, at least I did not pay for it, the government paid for it. Some of those things that government do, you don't have to be part of government or even like government to appreciate those kinds of gestures that are done. So in this manner, the $2 million affected all of Liberia and all of Liberian students, regardless of which party or affiliation your parents are part of. So on that note, let's continue to say thank you to the president and the government for taking that burden from on the heads of, and it's not just 12 bidders. The government pay different levels, and those are things in the past. Many brilliant students did not write WAS in the past just because they did not have the fee to pay, or the parents did not have the fee to pay. So that is not an issue anymore. Access is given now because you just have to study. The government takes that responsibility. So on that note, I think we should commend the government for taking that burden on hand. Based on what we did here, Ghana started for the first time this year to pay WAS fees for their students. They followed Liberia example. They were never doing it before. But this one was President Akuado announced that he was paying WAS fee for all 12 graders. So Liberia has always been a trendsetter for positive things and positive change. And that's something that we should always continue to do. The other question about the 12 schools. If you listen to me keenly, I said we went from 138 down to 16. That means we are aggressively monitoring. But education is not like roads. It takes time to improve the system. It's not going to happen overnight. Some of the interventions we are making today, you will see the improvements 10 years from now. Education takes time, investment, and commitment from everybody. Parents are home, sitting down in the evening doing homework with their children. Children going to school and taking their lessons seriously. Government investing in education. Teachers investing the time and making sure they're teaching the children well. all of these things come together. It's not a one solution that solves the problem. I have been in education for 20 years now, and I will tell you, even the great America, we still have challenges in education. So we have to continue to progressively improve the system. And what we've done in the last 3 years, you don't have to be part of this government to be proud of it because your child, if your child is in school in this country, we have now gone from being a laughing stock to one of the best in West Africa, and we are continuously improving. I had a press conference last year at MICAT here, and I said all of the journalists sitting here were all educated by this school system. So if anybody not part of this school system, I'm proud of it. Because none of you I will consider a mess. All of you are some of the finest journalists in this country, and you went to school right in the country. So Liberians can produce qualified people. It just takes a commitment for all of us. And that's what we are doing as educators to ensure that we improve the sector so that your children can enjoy the kind of school you went to. If you went to school in this country in the 70s and the 60s and the 80s, you know the kind of school you had. That's what we want to take this system back to so your children can have that too. And we are getting there. It is not going to be an easy walk, but we are committed to the journey, and hopefully by the end of our first term, going into our second term, all our viewers can really look and say, look, education in our country is doing very well. And that's how it goes.
I enjoyed the executive report for FM. Now, the Honorable Minister is talking about the registration for schools in this country. He talked about public school and part of the MTSS. The MTSS are released to 6,500. So, are the MTSS not part of the public schools? What is the difference between them?
MCSS is a private school, but the MCSS system is a system on its own. MCSS gets its own budgetary allotment, different from public schools that come to the Ministry of Education. So, as much as they are a public school, MCSS is a school system by itself. And the parents of that school system ask the ministry to pay extra because they want extracurricular activities for their children. So that's why we allow it. For MCSS stands on its own budget. It has its own superintendent that runs the MCSS school system, which is slightly different from the Ministry of Education, even though we have supervisory authority over them.
That is going to be a follow-up about the schools that are operating individually, the belong to the school curriculum.
All the schools, okay, you was asking about what made the system successful. Let me name 3 interventions that did that. Number 1, the Saturday programs we realized has been very effective. The having the Saturday program has been very effective. Number 2, the restructuring of the national curriculum. The curriculum went from teachers center to becoming a student center curriculum. And by doing that, many of the topics and the assessments in the curriculum now favor student participation, students engagement. So the curriculum that you went to school under is different from what we have now. We have a more advanced and a better curriculum that is student centered that allows our students to be engaged more than in the past. And 3, there are a lot of professional developments going on right now in the country in terms of teacher training, principal training, making sure that we have realigned the system. There were many people in the system that were not qualified. And when we say not qualified, doesn't mean they didn't go to school. But a guy who was supposed to, and he wasn't qualified to do that. By realigning the system and bringing people back to where they are supposed to teach, we have seen the system become stronger. So to teach at a university level, you should have a bachelor's or a master's degree with 5 years of experience. To teach at a high school level, you should have a certain qualification, and junior high and elementary. We have gone back and we've taken all 14,000 teachers in the system. We have realigned them now to the level that they can actually contribute the best. And those are the things we are seeing changes, because teachers are now able to do more at the level they're supposed to be at. They're taking them at a higher level and they are not able to give what they're supposed to give. Again, I could take 10 days to explain all of the complexities and the things we are doing, but what I would say in general, these reforms are working. And anytime you want to come sit with me at the ministry or invite me to your station, we can talk about these for hours. But the reforms we believe are working, and we will continue until we get the system where it needs to be. Thank you.
So we can also for our seat.
Well, next is the Ultra Privacy Box, Honorable Reverend Mr. Logie.
Please allow me to stand on the existing protocol. Government official here present, member of the whole estates, our distinguished citizens. As you all know, Liberia is the signatory to the 1951 Geneva Convention for the protection of refugees, asylum seekers, stateless persons, and other persons of concern. That convention was domesticated here in 1993, thus bringing into being the Liberia Refugees Repatriation Resettlement Commission, the LRRC. We are again pleased to be here. This press briefing is intended to address the nation, the international community about the current influx of Ivorian refugees in the borders of Liberia. We are pleased to inform you that Nema County, Benjida County, River G County, and Maryland County are hosts of new arrivals of Ivorian refugees. Between the period of September to November, the LRRC along with the UNHCR has recorded 12,608 new arrivals of Ivorian refugees. Please give us attention as we listen from the ages and sex, from the age of 0 to 4 years, we have 1,248, while the female 1,275, totaling 2,523. Age 5 to 17 years. For the male, we have 2,628, while the female 2,510, constituting 5,000, totaling 5,158. From 18 to 59 years, male 1,604, while the female 2,745, totaling 4,349 from 60 years and above. For the male, we have 164. The female, we have 435, totaling 598. So again, we told you that the total population verified and registered new arrival is 12,608. We now go to the counties. Just inform you that these new arrivals, they are in various counties. We have River G. In River G, we have the total amount of population of new arrival at 126. That constitutes 1%. In Maryland County, we have 1,269, constituting 10%. In Grand Gila County, we have 3,782, constituting 30%. While in Lima, which is the largest host, 7,439, constituting 29%. So we have 12,000, the total 100%. Now, the total number of women constitute 55%. So the women are in great deal of numbers, while the children between the age of 0 to 17 years constitute 60%. For the data collected so far, 80% of these children that we talk about between 8 to 9 are very much malnourished. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of government officials, let me bring to your attention that the government of Liberia, from 2010 to now, to present, have posted about 8,199 refugees in our borders. So that is in addition to the 12,608. So we have posted that amount of people, 8,199. Those individuals were concentrated in Lima, Bond County, in Grand Gila, PTP, and Maryland, Little River County. I will start currently in DP working with the UNHCR, as well as the county health team. We took into consideration the issue of the COVID. And we want to use this medium to say that the health service as an agency of government is squarely concerned and is challenged. Now, in these places, the following time, there are some places that our staff cannot go due to serious logistical concerns. So you see the 12,608, if we had the means to go, the number might triple. Let us also use this medium to inform the public that a joint humanitarian assessment mission was conducted, headed by the Minister of Internal Affairs, Honorable Bani Salif, who happens to be the chairman of the board of directors of the LRC. That thing was part of both the LRC, the UNHCR, the UNICEF, the WFP, UNFPA, ROM, amongst all of them. The mission on the Somerton Department of Road and visited for the following axes. Now in Lima County, the team was able to go to Balawa, Zudu, and Butu, while in Grand Gila, the mission visited the PTP refugee camp and the Bayi, as well they extended into Maryland County. In this two community, the team took notes of hundreds of malnourished children, like we just stated, and significant hardship on those persons of concern. I need not to inform you that Liberians, we ourselves, have been victims before. We know what it means to be a refugee in other countries. It's difficult. The team also used the occasion to acknowledge the refugees population, that the government of Liberia will show their safety in providing international protection for them. And because, of course, we are signatory to that which we signed up to. We want to use this bill to call on well-meaning Liberians, philanthropic, humanitarian organizations, to please come to the aid of the LRC in meeting the needs of those persons of concern based on condition. In 2019, the government of Liberia and international partner draft what we call the Humanitarian Contingency Plan. We want to inform you, ladies and gentlemen, as per the Humanitarian Contingency Plan is now imposed that calls for humanitarian intervention in that passage. We want to use this medium to express our thanks and appreciation to the President of Liberia for the support. We want to say thanks to the Chairman of the Board of Directors. We want to say thanks to the UNHCR and other UN agencies that took up their time and engaged in the process. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, we thank you.
Thank you. Do you have questions? Members of the press? We'll take 2 questions.
Okay, by that time, I just have one question. You said from 2010 to 2020, that is 10 years, you recorded 8,199 voters. Why have you not been able to repatriate some of these refugees in the country?
I said to you that the current case load of Ivorian refugees is mounting to 8,199. It means that that number was low. In 2012-2010, we had an influx of 250,000. 250,000. So the 250,000, 2 things might have taken place. Voluntary repatriation, meaning was organized repatriation. Most of those people went back. And of course, spontaneous repatriation, many of the people were organizing and they have their own will, they have to go back to their country. So that number from 250,000 have reduced to 8,000. Now the 8,000, 5,000 among the 8,000 have opted for local integration. Now we were up to the process of voluntary repatriation and the COVID came in. So that number should have reduced more than what it is.
Thank you. Okay, we'll take the last question and we'll close our rest of the meeting.
Yeah, my name is Charles P. Dennis, and I go for the public agenda. During the former Ivorian Classic, there was some refugee in Maryland County, a little rebel parent, who opted to be resettled into the Ivorian society. Are you fully resettled to people and why their case now?
Well, I told you before the influx or before this whole coronavirus incident, we're on the process of local immigration. It meaning that those that in the local people who opted for local immigration, in my briefing I said we have 5,000 of those, 8,199. 5,000 have opted for local immigration. So those persons that have opted from that area, they are part of the process. Now, if you went to Bound, Lima County, I don't know how many of you have visited Bound. The Bound refugee camp is being translated into a settlement. Now, the president's local approval housing unit, we want to say thanks to the UNHCR. We built over 100 housing units for both host community and will be integrated refugees. So when you go there now, those structures are definitely for those that opting to locally integrate into our society.
Thank you very much. We are now the Assistant Minister for Information Services to introduce our WFP partner.
Thank you very much, Comrade. Members of the media, we've come to another very important aspect of this press brief for Thursday. There's been a series of speculation in our media space with regards to the COVID-19 household food support program. Many of you here witness, others say that the program is a flop, it is no longer in existence. We as a government, especially the information arm, it is our responsibility to ensure that you have information available to you so that you know. So today we have on our menu a representative of the WFP, Mr. Ewan said. He will be giving you live updates and also activities as it emanates from the WFP's desk. We want you guys in the media to listen, ask questions, because this is the time now that you will have all the information that you need. We do not want you to walk away because this is where you can have your concerns addressed. This is where we can make the meat in the pot. This is also where we can now come up with new and better news stories. Our people in other counties around Liberia are about to benefit from this food package. So let us not forget that this is still ongoing. Before I call Mr. Snell up, I want to say thank you so much to His Excellency President Dr. Jallah for keeping his promise. In the second wave of COVID pandemic, we are still on the process of the food distribution, and you are going to hear now from the WFP team. So you members of the media that have been very concerned, ask some questions, listen keenly, and go back in the media space and give the report as it is. So on behalf of the Ministry of Information, Culture, Affairs and Tourism, I'd like to welcome now to the podium Mr. Yerosle. He is the support system manager at the WFP. Mr. Slade, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas. And I would like to start by greeting Honorable Minister of Langong, yourself, Mr. Thomas, and through you to convey to the Ministry of Information family our appreciation for this opportunity to speak directly to the Liberian people through the members of our energetic, committed folk estate who have been a major pillar in this particular process, trying to keep it transparent, trying to ask the hard questions so that people are informed about what is happening. We want to make this an opportunity for us to hear from the Liberian people through the members of the press. So I will make a very short statement and then open the way for questions. I just want to start by saying that definitely our top priority now more than ever in the midst of the COVID-19 is to meet the food security needs of the most vulnerable communities in Liberia. Definitely together with the steering committee of the government food program and all other partners involved in the program is working tirelessly to ensure that food reaches those in need, and I should emphasize those in the most need across Liberia over the coming weeks. Food distributions have never stopped. They have never stopped. And they are currently ongoing in 30 districts, targeting over 19,600 households, nearly 20,000 households in 36 communities. These communities are dispersed across 8 clans within the area, and distributions are expected to begin shortly in Margibi and Nima counties. Shortly, meaning as early as next week. The prolonged implementation of the program so far, prolonged implementation of the program has experienced, has been mainly related to slow enumeration. Okay? And the enumeration itself has been hampered by access challenges, particularly with the onset of the rainy season. But efforts have been made by WFP and all the partners involved to strengthen the process and ensure a quality-driven and speedy enumeration process so that food will reach the most vulnerable people across the country. Our target is to complete the distributions before Christmas. Okay? That is our commitment. And like I said, we are starting next week in Nimba and Margidi, and we expect to be able to start shortly afterwards in southeastern Liberia, where enumeration has been completed for at least one county and is in the final stages for the other counties, and we are just now in the process of working through the data analysis and other post enumeration activities. So I will want to stop here at this point and give you the opportunity to raise the issues that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have questions for the leader? Please.
Good afternoon, I'm Lawrence.
All right,
customer and I work on record everything brought you. I want to know with the level of food distribution in most of the country, if it is completed already, because I see you have two contexts for now.
You can respond to that.
Okay, well, no, the distribution to Montserrado, I'm not yet been completed, as I just mentioned. The distributions are, even as we speak, taking place in Tony District, and Chrisburg District as well. So those are places in Montserrado County. But even within the part of Montserrado, we normally refer to as Greater Monrovia, even within that area, there are some communities where distributions have not yet happened. But we are not making the completion of Montserrado distribution the condition for continuing the distribution in other parts of the country. I just want to clarify that.
Thank you very much. My name is Stokon Thomas and I report to Fabric. The other day, latest boss was here and he stated clearly that the slow remuneration came from WFP because you haven't provided funding adequately for the process. Now you are saying that latest the institution that are responsible to do enumeration because of rainy season, that's why the enumeration has been going slow. So how can we reconcile this? And the second thing is, how far are we with the issue of the funding?
I get the impression you will have loved me to have said that racism is the cause of the problem and so on, because I did not mention racism in my presentation. And so you seem to be asking a question that, based on what your hopes I would have said. I wouldn't want to get into a media spat with Malaysians. Okay? The engagement with Malaysians has been a very transparent process at the steering committee level. Yes, Malaysians has been responsible. Malaysia is a long-term partner of WFP, I need to emphasize. We have been working with Malaysians over many years. Of course, never at this scale. The challenges we have had, we have worked with them to try to resolve. And some of the measures we are taking now have been agreed at the steering committee level. Nations may have their views about the way we make funds available, but the way we make funds available is how we have always made funds available to our partners, in our engagement. We can go on and on about, whether relations is justified in the position that they have represented in the media, but I wouldn't want to preoccupy myself with that. Our intention is to convey to the Liberian people whether they are going to get the food, and we say yes, they will, and when they will get the food, and we said they will get it before Christmas across the country. All of the processes leading to that remain something that the developer is committed to concluding. Up to the point where that was feasible, we work with nations. To the extent that it is no longer feasible, our engagement with them will have to be adjusted. And this is where we are, and I would like us to keep that focus.
I am Jerry, the one report for as it relates to the food distribution. There's a community in New Georgia around the estate, New Georgia estate to William Jacob Project. The residents of that community are not seen, and then community members as it relates to the food distribution thing. So how soon do people of that community expect to see you there?
Let's close up with the last person.
Okay, I'm Hector T. Dumpy and I do report for Code 91.1 FM. My concern has been drawn to the targeted people. There has been speculation that some people have been denied based on the various definition of vulnerability of vulnerable people. So I want to hear from you, what's the position of your entity or definition of vulnerable people or vulnerability?
Okay, I want to begin with that last question and just say that, first of all, in line with President Weah's speech, and that the Liberian legislature's resolution authorizing the state of emergency, the food support program is supposed to, and I'm quoting here, prioritize the vulnerable population and the first responder population and the disadvantaged youth, the homeless, orphanages, senior citizens, people with disabilities, health workers, and security personnel deployed in the front line of the enforcement of the state of emergency. So this is the priority group. To operationalize this element of the resolution, WFP and the stakeholders agreed on the criteria that we will use to determine the most vulnerable. I definitely agree that there are a lot of vulnerable people, but the focus of the program, because it is not going to feed everybody, the focus of the program is on the most vulnerable. And we came up with a set of criteria to determine the most vulnerable people, counted or counted. But you know, one of the challenges we have had with this program, and it is not necessarily a bad thing, but it has just been practically a challenge. And that is that, you know, there has been some bit of tension between transparency and confidentiality, if you like, or information sensitivity. Just to illustrate the point, I mean, you are members of the press. We are here at the Ministry of Information. You may be interested in, for example, how much money the Ministry of Information is paying for medical insurance for its staff. That may probably be, you know, valid information to request. But then if you start to want to know the details of how much has been paid in specific cases, for what disease, for which staff, you might have a valid argument that you are trying to, you know, be very transparent in terms of what is money was spent on. But you can see right there that you are already verging into territories like, that call into question issues like confidentiality, information sensitivity. You know, so we've had that with this program. Typically, we do our enumeration, okay, using a very transparent, you know, fair process, and then when we get the data, then we make a determination of publicizing to the community or the beneficiaries who's going to get. But because of the level of publicity we have had around this program, the many meetings, those who have attended, people taking information out, pretty much the whole country was already aware of what the questions are that we're going to be asking to determine vulnerability. And as a result of that, we have had challenges with people misrepresenting, you know, the reality. And therefore you go to a house, full bedroom house, clearly one family living in a house, and they say that there are 5 different households, and they try to inflate the number of people who should benefit, and we have to spend extra effort trying to clean that data to bring it into line, because we do triangulate the data with other sources anyway. We don't just take it at face value. You know, there are other data sources we triangulate against. And this has been one problem, one reason why the distribution in Monserrato in particular has had to be so prolonged, you know, because of the data cleaning issues we have had. And we can go on and on about the technical details around that. But the broad definition of vulnerability in this context is as already established in the resolution for the legislature about the state of emergency. And we have just gone forward to operationalize that element of the resolution in collaboration with our partner by coming up with, you know, very measurable, definite, you know, and specific criteria, which, because we are still in the process, I will not want to discuss in too much detail here. But I can assure you that there have been many stakeholders around the table who are not necessarily friends of WFP, you know, who have seen that yes, the criteria we have established in the vulnerability are very good to work with, and that's what we've been working with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then there was a question about Georgia. I'm afraid that I am not, you know, in this moment able to speak much about that specific case until I get more information about it, if you don't mind.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Thomas will please us.
Thank you so much, members of the listening audience for the opportunity. It is your responsibility to go and make the news. Make it as it is. So you heard from the different platform guests. Thank you so much for coming. This is another climax of our regular press briefing. So stick and stay around. Next Thursday we'll be here again for another fresh edition. You're most welcome. Goodbye.
I've been struggling for so many years, trying how to live a better life. I've been insulted, rejected, and even spoken love. I fight many days to get my daily bread. But all was going through, I knew I was never alone. God was by my side, and He never let me down. All those things are over now. All those storms are over now. It's over now. The storm is over now. It's over now. The storm is over now. It's over now. The storm. Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Shikinu, Jehovah Rapha, never change. You spoke and all came to me, Maker of the universe, Holy God of Sinai, never change. Yes, Lord, you never change, never change, never change. Holy Lion of Zion, never change. Lord, I lift your name high, never change. Yes, I lift your name higher, never change. Over the names, never change. You were there before the word was made, never change. You were there before the change, never change. But as old as you are, Lord, never change, never change, never change. Holy Lion of Zion, never change. Lord, I lift your name high, never change. Yes, I lift your name high, never change. Over the names, never change. You were there before the word was made, never change. You were there before the change, never change. But as old as you are, Lord, never change, never change, never change. Why do you cry? God has not forgotten you. Every word He spoke concerning you must surely come to pass. For His word shall never return until He has done what it is